Hi friends and welcome. Python provides several built-in functions that can be used to convert an object, such as a variable, from one type to another. In this lesson, we will explore some of these functions and observe their practical usage while coding. The first function is the int function, which stands for integer and is used to convert objects to whole numbers. Let's declare some variables. A equals 10, b equals 5, which is a string, c equals a plus b, print c. If we try to run this program, Python will throw an error because we are trying to perform an addition operation between a number and a string. 10 is a number data type and an integer, while b is a string. It is impossible to perform an addition operation between a number and a string data type. Let's execute the program and see the result. As you can see, we have a type error, unsupported operands type for plus, int and string. To make this work, we can convert variable b, which is a string, to a number type using the int function. We simply type int and put the string inside of it. What we are trying to do here is to convert a string to an integer using the int function. By this, we expect our program to work fine. Let's execute the program again and see the result. The program is working now because we have successfully converted string to an integer using the int function. We can also use the int function to convert floating point numbers to whole numbers. Here is an example. Floating number equals 20.0 point floating number. Let's use a type function to check the type of the variable. Point type. This is a floating point number. Let's convert it to an integer using the int function. Int. Let's run the program again. This floating point number having a decimal value is now converted to an integer. The decimal part has been removed. Take note that the int function in Python does not perform rounding for floating point numbers. It simply truncates the decimal part and returns the whole number part. Here is an example. Number 1 equals int 20.9. Number 2 equals int 20.1. Point number 1, point number 2. Let's execute the program and see the results. As you can see, the int function does not perform rounding for decimal values. It only returns the whole number parts. Another point to note is that you cannot change a string that looks like a floating point number into an integer, because you would lose everything after the decimal point. Python provides the float function for this. The float function allows you to preserve the decimal part of the number. This conversion will throw an error because we are trying to convert a string that looks like a float into an integer. Let's execute the program and see. We got a value error. The float function stands for floating point and is used to convert objects into numbers with decimal points. Let's declare some variables. A equals 20, b equals 20.5, c equals 20. The first two variables, a and b, are strings, while the third variable, c, is an integer. Let's make use of the float function to convert all of them into floating point numbers. Float, float, float. Point a, b, c. Let's execute the program. All the variables have been converted into floating point numbers. Note that for string to number conversion to be successful, all the characters in the string must be digits. A equals int 3c. The conversion will throw an error because the string 3c contains the character c, which is not a digit. As a result, Python will raise a value error indicating that the string cannot be converted to an integer. Let's run the program. All the characters in the string must be digits. If we remove c, it is going to work fine. Great. The string function is used to convert non-string data types to a string. We have declared a variable named msg, short for message, and we intend to assign the value on the right hand side to it. The plus sign does not indicate addition of numbers. It signifies string concatenation. Whenever you see a string followed by a plus sign, Python interprets it as string concatenation, and the value that follows is expected to be a string. In this case, since 5 is an integer, Python would raise an error. Let's execute the program and see what happens. We have a type error which says can only concatenate string, not int, to a string. To address this, we can convert 5 to a string using the string function. String 5 point message. Let's run the program again and see the results. Great, the program works now. Let's try one more example. A equals 20, B equals 20.9. Point type of A. Let's execute the program. Variable A is an integer, while variable B is a float, as shown by the type function. Let's convert them to a string using the string function. str. Let's run the program again. With the help of the string function, we have been able to change the data type to a string. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.